You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another episode of Red-Eye Responds. In today's episode, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, and we're going to be responding to comments that I've already responded to. So really, I'm going to be mostly just reading my old comments, and then I'm going to maybe give any additional input I have. I have blurred out the person's name, despite the fact that it was a username rather than a first and last name, and despite the fact that they are public comments, just because I'm going to be very critical of these comments. And I'm going to start this video off with some unrelated gameplay, because boomers seem to hate that, because I also keep getting a lot of comments from older people saying, "What's with playing a stupid game?" No matter what the context of the video is. Like, look, dude, I want some fucking visuals. Full context behind these comments, I did a video on what I considered to be the worst moral oral episode. It was part of my overanalyzing series. I did the same thing for Malcolm in the Middle, and both of those got more or less mixed receptions. However, this one definitely got a lot more of a negative reception than the Malcolm in the Middle one did. I will say, I was probably harsher in the actual video than I intended to be. I did use a lot of terms like shitty and stupid. And in fact, this guy actually corrected his comment, because originally he made a quote and misappropriated it to me, claiming that I had said that it was a shitty episode, which I never used that term. I did say something was absolutely shitty, which they actually fixed the quote today. But, specifically, it was about the episode Close Face, which, as I've said, I actually don't hate that episode. I just feel it's the worst out of the moral oral episodes. Moral Orals being my favorite Adult Swim show. But this person was not happy of how critical I was of the episode, and I stand by my opinions of it. I don't stand by necessarily how harsh I was, and maybe in the video itself I could have done better at emphasizing that it was completely subjective and had no objective analysis whatsoever. It was completely based on my taste and my thoughts on the episode, and why I think that, personally, it's the worst episode of the series. And that episode is Close Face, which a lot of people came to defend. There's a lot of people in the comments defending it. But one guy in particular was very pretentious and wrote fucking novels in the comments, basically. So let's take a look at some of these gems that he gave us. Okay, so we're on to the first comment that this person made. Or some stupid shit like that. Absolutely shitty. No real message. Those are all in quotes, by the way. Even a review as partisan and hopelessly personalized as this should refrain from this type of hate-filled and extremist language. Okay. I don't know what the fuck. Okay. Extremist? How is that extremist? Your assertion that you like this series sounds disingenuous and insincere next to this rather wild, undirected, and undisciplined review. Yes, I can use big words too. You think I'm basically trying to say I'm not a true fan because I criticize something I enjoy. What the fuck? Look, just because I'm harsh on this episode particularly does not mean I don't like the series. I've done several videos on this series, and I actually mentioned that in my comment, which we'll get to in a minute. But, this guy's just full of pretentiousness, as you can see. He's just so much like, yes, your assertion sounds disingenuous and insincere. Fuck off. It seems unlikely that your reaction is to this episode as a whole, rather than some particular and perhaps discrete portion or aspect thereof. See what I mean? What the fuck is with this guy? Using all of these professional-sounding words. I dare say, sir, what the fuck? I can easily see how Rod Puddy of the first season might similarly respond to this episode, before the events so drastically changed that character's point of view. Good thing, too. I personally think that Close Face is one of the third season's true gems, with its quirky evocation of young, immature love. Its meaningful exploration into non-conventional relationships. Yeah, see, it sounds like this fucker's writing for an English class. Its revelations of truths we all often ignore, simply to spare our own feelings. And the message, yes, there is a message, that true love often lies just beyond our blinkered and prejudiced perceptions. Most persons I know that have seen this episode consider it a deep, meaningful, and well thought. Try again, please. So that try again is a common thing you'll see with this fucker's comments. He seems to think ending everything with try again gives him like, yes, I won the argument because I told him to try again. Such a condescending and pretentious prick. I fucking hate this shit. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so here was my first response to that. I love Moral Oral, and I've done several videos on it before, like this one, and I linked to one of the videos I did on it. Just because you don't agree with my opinion on this particular episode doesn't mean you have to make accusations about my opinion of the show and As I said in the video, I liked the parts about love and rejection. I just thought the actual close face parts killed the episode for me. But as I said, I don't full on hate any episodes. So yeah, as you can see, it's just what I consider to be the worst. And this guy tends to go back and forth and bitch about me using the term worst rather than saying something like least favorite. It's like, look, by definition, I'm saying to me it is the worst. I'm not saying it's objectively the worst. I don't really believe in objectivity when it comes to art. I do think that there are elements that can be objectively good or bad, but that's not what we're talking about here, so that's a different discussion. And in my opinion, the episode falls flat, so I think that this guy is absolutely full of shit. But let's move on to his next comment, yeah? Most reviewers praise originality in television writing, while you seem only interested in punishing it. But rather look at this from another point of view if you can. If you find all the other episodes, save this one, to be excellent, what is the likelihood that it is really a stinker, rather than simply an episode you didn't like? Yet your review seems to insist that because you didn't like the episode, it must be bad. This does not follow. Again, I made it clear in the video that it was just my opinion, and I was not talking about objectively good or bad. Like I said, maybe I could have been clearer on that, but this is so hard to fucking read just because of how bad it is. This does not follow. This is not a review. It is an op-ed. What? An op-ed is like an article you write, an opinion editorial, right? And my reviews are opinion. They are very opinionated. They are not objective analysis. They never have been, and they never will be. Whew, this guy. The idea of close face is hardly new. Only the word Stephanie coins for it. It really is a worthwhile point. Is it really a worthwhile point for a tirade? The song itself was written for the episode by the artist/songwriter Britta Phillips, who also provides the voice acting for the series. It is a one-off, and not a bad one at that. It impishly addresses the deformed apparition at the end of Lover's Nose. Can you hear the fucking words this guy is using? Jesus Christ. I forgot how fucking pretentious this shit was. Namely, the object of their passion. It is tender, funny, admittedly sentimental, and part of an episode that is significantly more upbeat than the rest of the third season. By your own admission, you prefer the darker, more depressing episodes, which leads one to conclude that this episode simply scares and confounds you. It doesn't scare me at all, I just think it's fucking cringy. That is very much projecting to try and think what I think is that. That's, what the hell? This is a perfectly legitimate reason for not liking it. Exactly, which is why I say, to me personally, it is the worst episode. I am not saying objectively, I am saying to me personally. But there can be no grounds for the hyperbolic verbal abuse and profanity that you deem fit to heap upon it. For anyone pretending, or affecting, or legitimately feeling any passion at all for a subject they choose to address in public, this is simply unworthy. No, it isn't. I was expressing my opinion, and I have a passion about it, and I criticize it because I like the show. Partisan means blind, overpassionate, and unreasonable. So you literally said that if I had any passion about it, that this is unworthy. But then you say I'm overpassionate. Which do you want, passion or no passion? Fuck off. Which, in fact, fairly accurately describes your review. In failing to address the degree to which this episode disturbs and seems to threaten you, doesn't threaten me at all. I don't care if people like it. I personally do like it. I just think it's the worst of the series. Why the fuck do people always think, oh, this threatens you, it hurts you? No! I'm just criticizing it, bitch. I may have been harsh, but that's just how I am. You have allowed yourself to make conclusions that would be unreasonable and unwarranted, even if you had taken the time to explain yourself and articulate your fears properly. This review, sir, is unworthy of you. I suggest you try again. How about you try again, bitch? Seriously, that try again thing gets really annoying. And like I said, you're gonna see more of it as we go on. And here's what I said. There's nothing wrong with criticizing things you enjoy. I never claimed this was objective. It's only my opinion. The point of the video was to share my opinion on what I feel is the worst episode and present a case for it. As for profanity, that's just how I tend to talk in my videos. I've never claimed to be a kid-friendly channel. You make a lot of assumptions about my goals. I don't like to punish anything. In fact, most of the time I only review things I like, but I felt this episode had a lot of potential, and for me it just didn't follow through overall. I didn't hate it, I just feel in my own personal opinion, it's the worst episode. Boom. That should have been the end of it, but of course, this guy had to get another, fucking full-length, thesis and fucking conclusion and big-ass article on it. So let's go. Criticism fails when it's unreasonable and unjustified. How? Who determines what's unreasonable and unjustified? I think criticism can be, unfounded for sure. But I think that itself is also a subjective way to look at criticism. You fail to give adequate reason or justification for your criticism. There is opinion, but no real case for it beyond your assertion of your own unreasoning hatred. Again, I don't hate the episode. This guy seems to think that I vehemently hate it. I may have been, a little bit over the top in the video, but that was a stylistic choice. I don't hate the episode. I just tend to have issue with it, and I give my reasons why I think it's the worst episode of the series. What is so hard to understand without writing goddamn fucking novels in my comments? This does not constitute a case. Personal opinion without any real justification is best kept to oneself. No! Fuck you! I'm gonna express my opinion. Go to hell. This is not censorship. By definition, it is if you're saying I need to keep my opinions to myself. It is merely good taste. And I think I'm a fairly good taste person the majority of the time. But, just because something's in bad taste doesn't mean it doesn't have a right to exist either. Were this a school assignment, it would receive a 0. Oh yeah? Are you a teacher? Is that what you're getting at? Not only for its failed objectives and unjustified opinions, but for its childish, ineloquent language. I'm sorry, we can't all talk in Old English and pretend that we're super posh all the time. I can speak big words too, don't get me wrong, but I choose not to just be overly fucking pretentious when I talk to people. Generally shallow and superficial analysis of the subject matter. Whatever your intended goals, the results are clear. An irrational, reckless, ill-considered rant against something you didn't simply understand. I understood it perfectly, I just thought it was executed poorly. No assumptions are made here, nor need be, since your words themselves are eloquent evidences of the difficulties you've had with this episode. That almost sounds like a contradiction of what he's saying, but I'm pretty sure that's meant to be insulting to say that I'm stupid or something, but the phrasing is ambiguous enough for me to think that he could be contradicting himself, which is obviously not the case, but, if your assertion that most of the time you only review things you like is genuine, then clearly your difficulty is a mere matter of experience. No, it isn't. I think you just have a hard time listening to people shit on things you like. I don't. I can hear people shit on things I like till the goddamn cows come home. If you really do prefer to review things you like, I suggest you stick to that. Try again, please. How about I stick to whatever the fuck I want to stick to, motherfucker? Again, I'm getting fairly rude in this, but I don't care. This guy's a fucking pretentious dick. And here's my final word on the matter. We are obviously not going to agree on this, and you come across as pretentious and condescending. While I actually was interested in your perspective, I don't really feel this is going anywhere, so I don't have any desire to continue to argue. While I don't agree at all with what you said, I do appreciate that you were at least partially constructive. I said that in the comment, but in all honesty, I don't know if I really think that was constructive at all, in what you had to say. Anyway, that's my final word on the matter, and that was the end of the conversation. So yeah, here's a tip. If you want to have an argument, don't make a bunch of assumptions about people and then use a bunch of big words to try and sound like you're, the one who's winning the argument. Because using big words does not automatically make you win an argument. I can use big words too. In fact, I think this guy is a repugnant, salacious, compunctious little troglodyte. And I think that their incessant ranting and inane tirades are absolutely despicable and unfounded. So there you go. Fuck off. See you later. I'm Fugitive Red Eye. Doodles.
Concludes our broadcast day.
What? I have the smoothest balls in Iceland.